Yep.
And then on top of that, very poorly executed. So for Karmine Corp, actually, yes. I have very high hopes here to return to Icebox today.
Well, we've already got a bit of a glimpse of it, of course, in that first game up against BBL, and it was lovely to see. 19-17, a marathon
Banger.
match for them, and it was wonderful. Now, if we can get into that realm, that'd be brilliant, but we're yet to see it. Karmine Corp starting out on the defensive side, of course, meaning Heretics up on the attack first. Let's see how this new shuffle looks, really. See how Mixwell and Kellogg's combine here.
Well, the big question really being around Mixwell, his ability to fill those Sage shoes in terms of getting these plants down. I think catch a glimpse. I like this actually from Heretics, the big indicator being they're looking for this snowman control. That's it. Here it comes through. It's a firing squad for Heretics.
Yeah, they've absolutely been in on the challenge. And we did see a very aggressive initial pistol round, even in that prior game for Karmine Corp. It was all down middle. This time around, happy to scrap on the site. Didn't look great from XMS. Left in a very precarious position, a 1v3 with very little early attempt here. Couple of upgrades on the ground though, so maybe give himself a fighting chance here, make him work for their dinner. And you can see him closing in. Already, yes, Cove goes up. Cap on the spike, looking for the pick, doesn't even get away from it. Lost at sea. Mixwell finds him, and a good start here for Heretics, but we did see Karmine Corp answer back, even in that prior game.
We did, yeah, but this is one of the big criticisms we usually have when people pull out this harbor is what's the pressure behind that cove? I love the use here, the Viper wall initially to get pressure up towards danger. They can set up past default here, and it's a comfortable plant. They can actually cut off sight and isolate Snowman, which is very rare in some of these B-site executes. So, at least initially, Heretics look like they're on the same page here for how to apply this harbor and actually what needs to happen behind it.
Wow, look at this early purchase too. 2 rifles coming out very quickly, the Bulldogs as well. So actually quite, I mean 4 if you want to count it that way,
yeah.
Of over. The only one sitting back a little bit further on the economy front. That's just fine. We are seeing the Sheriffs come out on the upgrade with light armor as well for Scream. Makes a little more. So that lovely walk middle.
Yeah, Shin and Scream exploring that a number of times. To varying levels of success, but
I like the attempts.
Yeah.
More than happy to see it. The Heretics though could do with a couple of comfortable rounds to come in with.
And even just to build on that, if what Karmine Corp need to latch onto is Scream hitting again and finding success in those highlight plays, I'm absolutely all for setting them up for that. Yeah, Heretic's not going to feel too much resistance on the way through.
Should be a plant here. Don't see any real challenges to it.
Planted.
Couple of shots going astray. It's Scream to take the first potentially threatening challenge, and he's down quite low already. 6 HP, all he's got to play with, and again, the post plant relatively strong for Heretics here. Should be very comfortable. Let's see any danger can be made. Izzy sent in to very little effect, but at least gives them the go signal to get towards the site, which they need to start doing. Again, only Navera to connect so far, and that's Mixwell gone. You can see utility start to be invested. Zeke watching the push up towards site, almost encouraging the swing from Avova. And apart from that little bit of damage towards Mixwell, this looks like it's going for par for course. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy here.
One enemy remaining.
Actually, Kellogg's being allowed a little bit more damage in this one, so they should be able to get away with the vast majority standing, of course, for Heretics, 2-0.
And retrieval actually of the final rifles, so they will bring all 4 of those rifles across into the next to offset that potentially with a lesser purchase. So actually, boom, still 3150. Soon actually you're going to get a 5th rifle on the board as well.
And Scream literally just with a knife here, it looks like, as well. So some of those early buys with the Sheriffs and the My Armor do come back to haunt him a little here.
They do, and we've touched on this a few times. Some of these Squeako rounds. Well, I do want to see that cleaned up. The number of times I was watching the VOD back from the other day, and even things that you just generally don't catch whilst things are going on, but off-kilter pistol purchases, you know, just going for one piece of utility or just a frenzy, and you know, Navera, I think, coming away from a pistol with 400 to protect that Sheriff purchase in the second. It almost relies heavily on Karmine Corp getting those set pieces and it absolutely guaranteeing the plant. There's no contingency at all.
No, there isn't. And I do want to see the kind of temptation to brawl in this game. Knowing you've got Kellogg's against you, he loves a bit of a scrap. Happy to go for, you know, literally the 1v1 if he can. He will absolutely chase it down. I am wondering if that little bit of composure we've started to see come into play for Karmine Corp can stay true to this. First real test now. Of course, the buy, still not ideal, obviously, for Heretics, but happy considering the time of which this has come in. Logitech G power-up round. Scream. Actually, in the prior games, did have a really nice combination work, not just only with Shin, but everyone else. They fought as a team.
And not to beat a dead horse, but to come back to that, some of the layering of utility from Karmine Corp was what looked so good. So that's why it's kind of frustrating to see this in around that ultimately you're wanting to be as clean as possible. You want to protect those early purchases.
Alarm bot down. And if you've been keeping an eye on the minimap, Navera's been sat extremely deep towards B, giving up the side controls almost completely. Very deep wall going up as well. A little bit of spam through to no effect, but they get a safe post plant now. Yes, a little bit of damage did come in. Actually, I think Mixwell barely touched in that, so he's just fine. Well,
the nanoswarm we dealt with, so I think Nuzera has to dump a snakebite into that. But now you look at the retake. No flashes on your initiator. Shin obviously does have some utility left, but this is problematic.
It's just Shin and XMS really that can make anything start, so let's look out for that. Otherwise, they're just trying to find dry fights. Now, yes, Mixwell does receive the, I guess, the worst end of the stick from Dizzy, but again, where's the damage off the back? It's not really coming through at all. Heretics shutting it down so far. The response finally kicking in for time. It's going to halfway, but it's not the whole way, and they are running out of precious seconds to fuse. Just about comes in time, and they defend him, barely.
There's a moment there where there's two still alive on B main, and Avova just keeps backing up. I don't know if maybe anticipating that was another tap just to bait out a peak, but that late on in the post plant, you gotta check it. Timing a little off there from Heretics. Zest has got him ahead.
One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
Behind the wall as well. That's absolutely.
Wait, what?
I'm sure incredibly frustrating, but regardless, no one was fighting on it. No one went for the challenge on it, which is surprising. We saw Karmine actually punished for that a couple of times themselves. So mind to see Heretics.
Less of that today, please.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. Scream willing to challenge. Mixwell on the other side here. How far does Scream go on this? Finally has a bit of utility to play with as well. And honestly, the flashes were quite good. This time, actually didn't even catch Mixwell, but the shot was good enough anyway. Backs away. Early damage achieved. He can reset a little deeper here.
Well, the next step is here for Karmine Corp. Seen Scream drifting back towards Boiler. Well, that exploration towards mid will come through. Heretics actually just happy to creep up behind this.
Maybe feeling that Scream had fallen away incredibly deep, which he has, but XMS should note this, but they're very close, so he has to back away and try not get caught. But look at Kellogg's on the hunt here. The Bloodhound just chasing down anyone who was going to stick close. No one was, fortunately, for Karmine Corp, but this does allow for a plant, so the time is on Heretic's side here. Kellogg's willing to challenge and willing to fight. Only gets one, but the trades are there. Zeke, nice work from the back line, going to take down Scream. And the 3v3 of Over still on the site, still holding a lot of space.
Rivera and Shin both ended up towards rafters. We're way back onto this again. Boo playing very disconnected from this. He's going to try and get those nano swarms down. The time ticking away here. It's an open plant.
Oh, yes, there's damage, but Navera, again, how much are you meant to do here? Oh, he's done wonderfully to find Zeke, but the defuse seems out of the realistic realms here. He has to back away. Heretics right back to where they left off. 3 now on the board. Costly, sure, but around nonetheless.
Not going to be an awful lot behind this purchase for Karmine Corp either.
Money's so weak.
This is always the nerve-wracking moment. It's like you see Scream start on a Vandal, and then he sells it as a Guardian back. Somebody else is like, I'll go Light Shield and Sheriff. Yeah,
that's fine.
This isn't a buy round, guys.
It's okay. They'll probably win it, and then, you know, they feel correct in their choice.
Yes.
Buying to around 1K-ish. XMS 1.3, 1 for Scream. And XMS lost very early on.
So Kellogg's actually got an angle underneath that wall as it disconnects towards double box. Shin going to probably try and set up a flash here. Doesn't catch anything though. Scream just can't find an angle.
It's hard to back away from this. I wonder if they're going to try and punish on the retreat. He does have the helper Shin, but it's only with a frenzy, so Heretics could do some serious damage here. Yeah, he can't quite back away, but they've halted progress and they're looking elsewhere. They're still above a minute and they've got that first pick. Yes, Nuzera might be able to catch the cross, does get denied the vision, but pretty indicative there is presence coming back towards A.
Just want to see Heretics fake that wall. I'm in position here with a couple of snake bites. Again, we're talking about the strength of this composition that Karmine Corp are playing in terms of the post plant. In terms of denying plants, it has that same bite.
Kellogg's nasty position once it drops. Already Zeke gonna find Scream, so you are losing out players here. Navarro's the only one with a real rifle, and Avova digging his heels in on the side. Shin falls. Heretics running rings around Karmine Corp here. They've come out with the perfect response. Yeah, you could argue there was some tape coming into this for Heretics to look out for Karmine Corp, but it doesn't feel like that. It's just better play from them so far.
I hate to say it, Scream again coming into this buy round with no utility. And these, again, what looks so good for Karmine Corp was him and Shin really working together and actually layering their utility to get them into a position to find opening engagements. Yes, potentially more impactful on the attacking side, but I even think here, I mean, I'm looking at the minimap, I see a turret and that's all Navarra's got. There's no anti-plant mollies, there's no alarm bot. He has to put his turret for mid here because there's no alarm bot. He can't cover kitchen, and that then draws Shin into a position where we have to watch Tube. Previously, we'd have a plan in place to put Shin and Scream there to walk Tube and flash out, take that control.
And Heretics just going through the list of traditional protocols. They've taken early contact, and considering how sparse this utility is for Karmine Corp, they have to be very careful where and when they invest the limited amounts they have. Heretics, if they can drag it away from them, pull it away from them, perfect. Now around the minute marker, Heretics are starting to make their intentions seem somewhat known here. Heavy lean towards B. We do have players on the side for Karmine Corp though. Knife potentially going to catch two there. Kellogg's will be held somewhat in place while suppressed. And the ult pop to follow. Now, no commitment to the plant just yet.
Yeah, it's actually popped a little preemptively here.
Right here.
Gonna hold Heretics for the time being towards B main.
Can't use that.
No pressure coming back through though.
Water rising.
30 seconds.
Wisely just waiting this out.
Oh, Hunter's Fury going to come in as well. And it's going to be somewhat effective so far. A little bit of a chip. I think their damage may be done, but Shin standing tall on the side. You're going to need massive work from Kellogg's here. Does the first bit of damage with Zeke, but Zeke's fallen. We're down to 13 seconds. The stall on the side's been great. And Uzera planted at his feet. They held them off for just long enough.
Well, some of those key parts of utility still present for Karmine Corp as a snake bite to seal the deal. What's the bailout round? Just to say that we credited one aspect of Karmine Corp's improvement so heavily the other day, it is kind of worrying that we're seeing this early on in map one. And again, we'll maybe touch it at halftime, some of the concerns then that we actually have for the second half. And how they played some of those post plants, but we'll park that for a moment.
I suggest you move.
That should be a fair amount of information.
Second reckoning
and counter.
Here. Yeah.
Okay, this puts, again, Heretics in a little bit of an offset of timing. They commit, maybe get the spike down, but again, then they have to evacuate so quickly. The mid lurk could be tested, but a Zeke to find Uzera. So again, they are under threat so early on. One trade out, big fight over towards Screen. Ult comes in. Kellogg's still standing, and actually, it's just demolished. Avova's luck was perfect. I thought he was a little late on the timing, but no, just got there.
Again, you think the lockdown is going to completely counter that reckoning coming through and forcing everybody very deep towards spawn. But actually, Heretics just dial up the pace a little bit in terms of that site here. And Avova's here to greet the backside.
And you know what? Give me this Avova.
Yeah.
Roll back the years. Give me this guy again. Kind of a 1-2 punch for every team he's been in. Always able to clutch out incredible rounds. But if he starts warming up here, Heretics look really deadly. And the money back down to Sheriffs and odds and ends. Actually, the most amount of utility we've ever seen for Scream.
Yeah.
Scanning ahead.
Back to business. This is working for Heretics.
They found a pressure point now.
Making it hurt.
Kellogg's back to that pacey playstyle that really does cause problems for teams.
But we've always said we just want to see how the rest of the team supported behind him. Did they keep up with the pace? Did Mixwell work well on that harbor? How did it look behind that? And thus far, looking quite good. XMS, though, finding the front man himself. But there is the Viper's Pit in play now.
So Zeke got to be careful here that doesn't get overwhelmed. Oh, catches a stun off the wingman though. Scream desperate to try and find that kill behind it.
And Zeke's doing damage though elsewhere. Maybe overstaying his welcome a little. XMS is the one connect it. Viper Spit still in place, making this such a problem for Karmine Corp. They just can't quite get to that spike. They can't quite take away these players on those front lines. Boo from the back does well to Navera. XMS still doing damage, but it's too late. It's too late in the day, and there's nothing more to be done. Yes, damage, but another round for Heretics. Just dialing up that pace now.
Lots of late utility as well, and that's ultimately what Kellogg's is there to do. Buy time in that post plant, run the clock down, force Karmine Corp to clear all these close angles. It just so happens XMS finds 3 fantastic headshots, one of them being very early on Kellogg's, but again, you dial that back, the Viper's Pit's there behind it. It's not really feasible. Karmine Corp to follow through on that early kill. And yeah, just to come back to, with how happy I was the other day watching Karmine Corp. A little frustrated here for the start of Icebox.
Yeah.
Because some of the things you actually look for, what's the next step of the improvement?
How do you evolve on that, yeah.
Again, some of the discussions we were having around, you know, the set pieces on attack. Particularly, one thing we credited was obviously how well synergized some of these utility pieces were in these sorts of compositions. Just not seeing it here. It's not amounting to favorable engagements. We're not seeing Shin or Scream get proactive at all here on the defense. There's a big gap in mid once again. It just so happens Avova comes through in the perfect round to actually capitalize on that. But yeah, I'm a little taken back right now. I wouldn't have called it, particularly the first half, I wouldn't have called it starting like this. I mean, Heretics have already come out and won this half.
Yeah, they've done their job. They've got 6. They've looked good at it. Now, I guess a layer to this, something else that did impress us was Navera on that operator. Had big impact in my eyes. Even on the, KJ did make it look pretty viable. A great player in that regard. But again, how do you make it work here?
And usually this is the point I'd say, there's no flashes in Heretics' comp, but with Kellogg's now adopting this playstyle once again, it will cause problems for Navera.
Getting aggressive here. Does he commit behind this? Shin is with him, so I'm wondering if this is going to be a nice little set piece. So this first flash to go in. There's Dizzy to follow. That's nice. Layered, but dealt with. Kellogg sitting safe towards Nest, sitting up there waiting for that. Trades it out well, and they lose that first piece in the puzzle.
Will the mosh pit land? Yeah,
that's
actually
nice.
Well. Land here and deal with that. We'll remove the ability to find that secure plant. And Karmine Corp did back up. I don't know if they're anticipating that. Actually, Heretics rotate off this, but this time around it'll be a much slower contact play.
And Zeke lost. It's on that vision. It's on that space to be garnered. Gets a lot tricky. Shin! That was filthy. Kellogg's annihilated. And they evacuate the site as best they can. They are running this low though. 30 seconds. And are they considering running all the way to B, really?
Navera's not on a safe angle here. He's not watching anything towards B. There's no coverage towards mid either.
Okay, this isn't a bad shout.
Huge that Heretics should get connector control here.
Okay, this actually makes it a real issue for those rotations. It's a long way back if you go CT through the safe avenue, and there could be that pressure of Boo. I wonder if he's What was Mixwell up to? Where did he just get caught?
Just got caught cross into sight. With this gap in the vents here, all 4 members of Karmine Corp huddled together. Actually going to split 2-2 between Kitchen and Snowman here.
A little paranoid of a potential lurk coming up from Tube Late. That's not the case. We know that, they don't. Avova and Boo, what are you doing from this one? That's not bad, good start. But the trade's there. Shin answers back very quickly, so Avova, this is a very uncomfortable position for him. A 1v3. Here's the tap on the spike, has to commit utility. Navera punishes. Defuse will be no issue now.
I'm curious actually if the safety net for Karmine Corp is getting this operator online, and that's when Shin and Scream look to get aggressive with these set pieces.
Maybe. I mean,
could be having that faith in the
rock,
yeah,
the ultimate safe pair of hands, because he doesn't play hyper-aggressive with the operator. I mean, he's on Killjoy, of course he's not going to be, but you can entrust him with an entire site. It's unfortunate a little for Mixwell there to be caught, but again, you might be asking the question, but now you know that that operator's in play.
I am curious, yeah, to see if that is actually the turning point and whether or not they need the benefit of their worst enemy, which is the economy.
Right here.
And a couple of rounds in hand. Actually didn't even... It's true.
Yes, it is. 3 to 6 though. They can close the gap on this scoreboard. They've got a game on their hands. Now we have to look towards Navera, because he could be the backbone to this, right? That one unwavering factor. Never seems overwhelmed by pressure. Now he's noted too, though. Has to be very cautious with how he proceeds with this. Waits for the support from utility and will dip away. He can't overstay welcomes, though.
At this point, it's where Heretics are actually forced into a much wider default here. Looking for map coverage here and potentially Kellogg's and Mixwell to work a pick. Won't achieve anything before the minute mark. Thing is, though, once they identify where Navera is, that should paint a very vivid picture around how the utility sets up. So I'm curious when we see that pressure towards mid, when Navera does show early round.
Won't be seeing it obviously now. Plant's going to be coming in pretty soon without any threat to life.
Kellogg's just never stops moving forwards.
No, he is an absolute fiend for that WP. And actually rewarded!
Oh my God!
Kellogg's unbridled aggression takes over, pushing as deep as he wants to, and it's save time. You have to keep that operator in play. You cannot risk anything now. If it's a key part of what you want to be moving forward with, don't be risking it. But you noted it, Kellogg's that aggression. It does feel such a double-edged sword at times, but that was the reward.
And it always feels a little uncomfortable watching because it's like, this guy has no flashes. Like, he just has to dry swing everything to actually find that value. You're asking a hell of a lot of a Jet player to do that against a team that's going to back up and play as deep as Karmine Core do. You got to give Kellogg's his dues. He has rounds like this. Again, slow to get to the decision, but I think on the back of that early information from Navera, this is the part of the discussion where you say, actually, how active can a Killjoy be with that operator? In terms of dipping your toes, rotating, hitting another side, picking up the slack in mid.
Well, he can't be mobile, right? He can't be, we've seen it on Neon looking fantastic, so you can just hit rotations wherever you need to. Obviously, Chamber in the heyday, Jet when it needs to. Like, it's just the fact that it's very all-in, and it's a gamble, right? You can commit somewhere early on, but Heretics have been doing kind of that minute work of trying to isolate it or locate it now early on. Yes, there's the switch up here. Can he get proactive with it? It doesn't feel suited to that style, but let's see if Navera can make it work.
Well, as aggressive as you'll see a Killjoy playing with an operator.
Can't go much further, can you really?
I think here, even with somebody else shooting that drone, it's a massive indicator.
Big Scream had never done that, gone that far. He'd always had Shin with him, so again, correct read here for Heretics. A little blind on the read, but correct nonetheless. But there is still a challenge here. That's certainly.
As you say, I'm expecting the flash in from Scream here, but it's going to come very late.
Ah, this is dangerous, Kellogg's. Can he find the player nearby? Yes, he can, absolutely. Wall's still up. Scream doesn't really have access to change the outcome of this so far. Yes, he can stall a little bit of time, but the plant's pretty secure here. Let's see if they actually commit towards it yet. Finally starting. Oh, that was so close for a second. There it is down. Okay, post-plant time, and this is where the problems really mount.
And Zeke can back up with the Hunter's Fury here of over 2 snake bites. He's going to try and look for a detain here, but there's such a huge gap to close here that's going to amount to nothing.
And Kellogg's willing to put his life on the line. Happy to play a little further forward and takes one with him. Yes, Navera trades out, but still, there's 4 more players to find here if you are Karmine Core. Maybe getting to halfway would be a bonus. And they managed it. That's at least the smallest victory so far. They've got it halfway. Heretics are so deep in positioning, and Navera does do so well, but it does not matter. Heretics holding the line, 3 alive, navigating around that operator and finding the perfect place to strike.
Beautiful to see. Again, just questioning some of the setups here. Where's that flash from Scream? It's so late. And again, Nuzera can't really swing onto that and getting any information. Maybe it's because the knife's off cooldown. I'm not entirely sure. But Heretics punishing absolutely precise timings and rewarded for it.
Operator out now for Kellogg's.
Wow. It's a full shield and no util for Scream here. And the rifle.
Doesn't feel good, does it? And you can see how good the money is, just juggling that forward. Needs around from Scream, though. One's fine, needs a whole lot more. Yeah, they're falling, though. Kellogg's going to continue forward. Rifle this time. Opts for something a little different, and it's messy. It's scrappy. Yes, Mixwell's low. Kellogg's is low. So there's still damage to be done here, even with his Sheriff and Marshall. It ain't over yet, but we've still got a minute to play with.
So Kellogg's actually got an operator stashed away here. I expect them to come back and try and police this weapon at least, reading this purchase from Karmine Corp. Because they're going to be desperate to get an upgrade here. 2 Sheriffs and a Marshal.
Here.
They're going to try and fake here. Mixwell's putting a little bit of
He's got the spike. He's got the spike.
He's just tapping it.
Okay.
He's tapping it to draw the further rotation,
Okay.
maybe anticipating somebody is still positioned towards A.
He's 20
It's
HP doing
ballsy.
that, though. I don't know
it's
if I love that,
ballsy
man.
as hell. But it's worked.
So it means it's
yes,
right.
it was a great play.
I'm terrified. It's allowed Kellogg's to get here, right? So it's like he can sip so deep on this that any retake is still going to be a million miles away. Plant's going to come in with no
10
threat.
seconds left.
Should be just fine.
Spike planted.
Okay, and now here come the problems. First tag done, that's Nevera down a little lower. Second bite at it for Kellogg's. He's hunting him down, he's ferocious with it. Has to finally relent though, slip away a little deeper.
He actually removed Nevera. Nevera had the lockdown here.
I didn't even realize.
Beautiful aggression here from Kellogg's to double dip on that.
He's still holding such a decent line here though. He can sit on this, he'll probably get the kill, at least by time for Mixwell, who is on the way. There's a time limit, he's got to get a move on here. Mixwell is going to do it. Actually, Kellogg's has gone down. So, again, Nuzera, though, how much are you meant to do with just a Sheriff in your hand? This is such a... Oh, it's just an impossible task. Mixwell's position is a million miles away. Boo is just playing time. As long as Mixwell doesn't fall, it's all but over. Heretic's playing a fantastic half here. And Karmine Corp, sadly, looking like they didn't learn their lesson, and maybe it was a one-off in that previous game.
This is such a good example. I'm talking about Kellogg's and what's required of him. 16 and 8, by the way, here, leading the charge for Heretics.
Yeah.
But there's method to the madness.
There
if
is.
the awareness is there that the lockdown is available, he spots Nevera on that cross, gets the leg on the first, and he says, I absolutely need this kill to make this post-plant better.
It's
One enemy
very nice to see. And again, we kind of came into this with high hopes for Karmine Corp because we got highlighted that. We saw that. It looked fabulous. We're like, okay, cool. A lot of those weird issues looking way better off now. Economy not such a problem. Unison playing together. All these cool things we were looking for. I haven't seen it in this half. If anything, we've seen them revert back to a style we didn't love.
Yeah, I don't want to say back to square one, but
No,
because there's an element here of Heretics definitely over-delivering in
100%.
terms of expectations. I mean, on any given Sunday, Kellogg's has a game. It's going
It
to
can
be
happen.
difficult for any team to overcome that.
Well, the thing with Heretics, rolling your mind back even to Brazil was the spacing, the support system behind him. Those were the bigger questions when we looked at that side.
Yeah, Kellogg's was half a round ahead of his team most of the time
Yeah.
on attack, and he'd find an open, and it's like, okay, cool, now 2 have rotated, they've traded that, and Heretics would just freeze.
Yes.
Because you'd have that initial wave of utility that they could just never, ever recover from. So this is great to see, again, how sustainable it is for Kellogg's to maintain this performance in these sorts of compositions, but definitely a big tick in the box for me. We come across to the second half here. Kellogg's actually meditating here, right?
Yeah,
So,
full zen.
actually come back to now. And with that first half, I'm worried actually even if they have enough of a buffer here. I mean, pistol and the next, and this is all but wrapped.
Yeah, the pistol round can pretty much put a bow on this, at least with this map. Now, this was Heretic's choice, so if you are a Karmine Corp fan, there's other things to worry about.
Yeah, you got Split to worry about next.
Exactly. For now, though, frenzies galore. 3 frenzies in hand.
Big positive, though.
Here.
Nevera spent everything. Screams down to 100 credits. There's some utility alongside some of these pistol purchases, so initially, much happier with this approach to the pistol round.
I do see Sheriff out and about for Kellogg's, though, who has been an absolute menace to handle. Cove goes in, and he's going to just post up on it. Wait to see if he gets a challenger. They're willing to fight on this, though. They want to secure that site, and Shin at least starts that effort. Finding him over is good. That should allow for the plant to come in.
Cove is going to drop, though. Well, Shin got off the plant.
What?
Shin didn't plant.
I thought he planted.
He should have.
Oh dear. Well, now there's a problem. You got 40 seconds, you have to retake this. Oh, Mix, well, he went walkabouts. Obviously baffled by what just happened, maybe trying to backfill the timing, but they were still there. Kellogg's.
30 seconds left.
I see lots of low HP players here.
Kellogg's, you gonna do something? Absolutely not. Shin with a frenzy is apparently a fiend. Does very well, but Karmine Corp somehow not punished for that mistake.
I don't know if that's just the timing of the Cove and the absolute paranoia. He's going to get wall-banged off that recon. But yeah, you can't be making mistakes like that.
I want to see it back just in case there was method to it, but I didn't see enough of a threat to back from there, 'cause it looked like he committed long enough.
Also, a little bit of adaptation here. Was the spike initially down in Nest? I'm not sure if I caught that, actually. It looked like Shin picks it up, but
yeah. Again,
previous was XMS to go forward, secure the inside of the Cove, and we were actually concerned about the amount of pressure behind that Cove to protect the plant. And at least here, it's an adjustment on this A-site hit for the pistol. Karmine Corp barely out of the buy phase here in terms of positioning. And already Heretics confident that there's no push towards B main, and they've absolutely got the right read here.
It is only classics. There's a lot of bodies. And it's a gamble. When do they somewhat get either curious or start looking elsewhere? I'm looking towards someone like Mixwell already peeling away from this. Looks like they're starting to maybe wonder about middle, but at this point you may as well commit to this. Very patient play, but nothing really telling. Scream spots the first. That's Boo now isolated and dead. He can't make much of a fight. He had a classic. Again, this should be a clean round. Let's see if they can make a scrap out of this one, though. Retaking towards the site. Are they hitting a rotate on 30 seconds again? This is when I get worried. Can get a little bit overwhelmed here. That's a rifle now dropped. Luckily, XMS is nuts, but he still needs to hit the shot. Kellogg's standing. A 1v3, and look at these guns everywhere. Still in play over towards B. They should be able to get a plant. 15 seconds to spare. It should be all right in the end. That rifle tucked away. I don't think Kellogg's has much of a shot at this one. How much is he going to try and do?
I see giving away the rifle here, so I don't think there's any intention here of coming through and fighting. Maybe not anticipating what the purchase looks like. Should know that Scream's obviously got the rifle. He found that opening kill.
And maybe not noting the Phantom on Shin or Nuzera with the Bulldog. I mean, yeah, a Vandal would have been nice, I guess, rather than the Bulldog, but...
Well, Kellogg's is planning to die here regardless,
yes.
So... doesn't want to cycle that back across into the hands of Karmine Corp.
There he is, just going to slip towards the site. I don't think Scream's going to come together in time now, so all good.
I see Shin potentially lining up a wingman plant, but and it did get a little dicey there when Heretics are close enough to charge you down as 4 under Nest. So, I mean, worst person to be behind it is somebody with a Marshall. You don't really need to aim that gun anyway.
You can stand by that fact, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Reasonable takes from Mike here. Can't wait to see your martial work going forward. We go in, though, and we look at the buy now coming out. Rifles on either side. Yes, the Bulldog's still in hand of Nuzera, but beyond that, pretty comfortable. Actually have utility on the side of Karmine Corp, so that is going to be a factor here.
These are the concerning setups, though. When you go for those wingman plants, all of Boo's utility here focused on denying that.
Yeah.
As he rips away that first wave, and that's when you have to have somebody behind that Cove. There's got to be somebody to secure, at least a kill or something, as Heretics will opt to sit back and do that damage. Chip damage, I guess, ahead of the plant.
Blow him up, Marsh.
Okay, so trying to clear out close sight, but it's the utility. Wait and see how much it does. And there it is, denied. Spike moves forward a little, and that's now even a little bit deeper, and they can retake that little bit of space here, Heretics. This is a nice read from them. And Karmine Corp have to charge in now. A little bit late to it, but Shin's still going to draw blood, but it's Zeke doing well, turreting it out from the top. Finding 2 quick kills and maybe having to dip away for the third. Shin taking that space back.
Left.
But the read here from Heretics is perfect. No threat to that initial plant coming in. But Shin, position-wise, does get outdone by Zeke, who drifted a little bit further back. Now Nuzera finally gets the upgrade, but he's got 3 to try and deal with. 15 seconds and no spike to hand. This is starting to look rough, and it is. Kellogg seals it. Mike, this is exactly what you just highlighted.
It's not often.
Are you all right?
No, that you get the results so evidently explained or demonstrated to you. And this is exactly it. This is where you then come back to the composition questions, which is who is there for Karmine Corp to send
meant
forwards?
To be that person?
As soon as you see that util dump, you think, well, yeah, even if it drops inside the cove, it's difficult to retrieve it. As soon as it's past that line of the Viper wall, it becomes very uncomfortable for anybody from Karmine Corp to go, yeah, okay, I'll pop through.
I'll go for it. Don't worry, boys. In and out, no sweat. Yeah, that is something now that I think they're going to have to address going forward, because I don't think that, I mean, trying to adjust that on the fly didn't really work out even in the last game.
Setups there again. I mean, hell,
change.
If you have a Sova, start shock darting default, get rid of some of this util, if you're going to rely on that wingman plant.
There has to be something in mind. Just doing this again is like beating your head against a wall, isn't it? But maybe they try and find an early fight. That would be ideal, but they lose it. XMS goes down. Avova's got him. Maybe trying to find a little bit of a deeper fact here. Oh, God. Now the plant's even more difficult. That was one of the pressure points before. Setup still in place.
Right. Plant the spike. Yeah, plant the spike here. I'm going to fragment the util. If this works, I'll be very surprised. Nope, it didn't.
I've never heard you disappointed.
No, I actually,
right now,
I really, because I was so impressed with Karmine Corp the other day.
I know, that's the sad part, because you actually walked away happy. It was the first time I've seen that as well. As it stands, though, 20 seconds, they finally get to the plant here. They've just about chipped away enough to allow for the plant to come in. Not the first part, part of the plan, but they're going to take what they can get. Thrash going to go in. Does it find anyone? Scream's kind of playing behind it a little bit, catching Mixwell in no man's land. Avova not going to be caught, though, going to refill that space and start working towards the side. Back lines. Have they got it locked down here? Scream needs to activate. He's doing the best he can. He made a damn good go of it, but it ain't enough, leaving it just in the hands of Nuzera in a 1v2. Good shot, but again, it is not enough. Heretics with the answers, and Karmine Corp with nothing.
And we noted this the other day, that the reliance on this composition being 5 standing and having all of these pieces of utility available. I said the other day, obviously we're kind of biased by the results we see, but the number of times we saw Karmine Corp able to protect numbers, Heretics just need to dip a little bit, do some chip damage, force away some comfort of Karmine Corp ahead of these site hits, and this is the byproduct.
I remember us discussing that in that series with BBL, where it's like, if they are able to do a little bit of something early on, then all of that post-plant becomes way weaker.
You think about it, you take away some of these key pieces of curveballs ahead of that side. Behind that is based around. And that's why it's kind of really tilted to see some of these rounds where it's just like, okay, well now for 20 seconds, let's sit and figure out what the hell we're going to do, because we haven't got a util left now because we dumped everything hoping Lil Bro was going to get the plant.
So much pressure on Lil Bro. He's trying, man. He's putting in work, and he's just been like a lamb to the literal slaughter. Poor guy. 5 to 11.
Feels soulcast, man.
It does feel it. Oh man, it's literally soulcast on Icebox. It's crazy.
Very impressed with Heretics, though, honestly.
I mean, they've done everything right. Yeah, there's a trade hit. Let's see. But there's still 2 bodies behind this for Heretics. It's not just Kellogg's now. You do have Mixwell there. Lockdown going to come in. That's going to be countered. Mixwell. Lovely. Buying time. Slowing this down. Little. It's like animal cruelty at this point. And this, I'm still waiting for that punch to come in here, because Heretics look quite calm, quite composed. Yes, a rifle could be picked back up, but it's Guardian. Not ideal by any means.
That's the thing, right? Come back to the composition. There are way many more opportunities for Heretics to remain versatile and actually benefit from some of this chaos that ensues as Karmine Corp fight for some of the very early contact points towards these sites.
how do they get here now? They still have, I guess, XMS standing.
Wingman's planting.
All right, here we go. Oh, get to get it down.
30 seconds left.
Nope.
Spike's down, your Viper's dead.
Come on, show me something here. Karmine Corp. Yeah, no, absolutely. Mixwell's having a lovely series too. Good to see from him individually, but the bigger questions are what the hell is going on right now with Karmine Corp.
I'm seeing a number on the left side screen as well. Screen brought down to 500 here. I'm praying to God. And now that Heretic's hit match point. Okay, yeah, he's got no flashes. It's little things like that creeping back in that's been evident throughout this map. I mean, no command here. They're just not going to rely on a utility, throw forward, and hope that somebody can find the trade, get him rezzed. But yeah, this has not been a good showing so far from Karmine Corp. I think that's very fair to say, given the standard we saw previously.
And half the map has now been somewhat cut off here. Not easy for Avova. This actually will force his hand a little bit. And there is intent behind this. Wingman doing the bit. Wait, where is Avova? Where the hell is Avova? Someone deal with this man! He gets just left unchecked. He can't get away from it, but he's done damage on the way. Slows it down. Look at the rotations. Already 2 players in here. Res going to come up. They'll be back up to 4.
They burned the cove to get the res. Obviously, Shin's dead, but now that comfort of the plant and Zeke coming through on the flank. Nevera luckily will trade that.
Yeah, but with 2 HP. The walking wounded here. Scream 37, Nevera 2. XMS is the only really healthy player here, burning so much utility. Scream still has a little bit, as does Nevera, but that's about it. The other side's sitting pretty, and Kellogg's still with that operator. They're expecting a rotation. They were considering it's going to be A. It's not.
No, the problem is they need a kill because they haven't got the cove to secure the plant, and there's no flashes. Yes, they can throw a knife and hopefully figure out where Boo is playing, but...
There's the wall.
30
Boo's still got
left.
mollies.
What does Boo do, though? He's been suppressed, so
Spike planted.
can't at least deny this. And the support system was way off.
I mean,
There
they
is
get
a
away
plan.
with murder getting that.
Yeah, but Mixwell being here. Okay, turret was still in place. That's great. That's identified that position. He might have to redirect towards middle. Looks like that's the case. See if he can clear towards yellow. Hey, actually, Kelch just found XMS over by yellow. I thought he was sitting a little bit safer for that. Absolutely not vulnerable. And now the last 2 players were the wounded ones. Oh, great shot from Nevera. Sitting on the defuse, though, is Boo, and he's not going to get off this one. He's going to sit this one out if he has to. No one stopped him. Oh, he's done it in the final seconds there. Heretics looking like a cut.